Hi, we are going to look at some of the cue cards and the follow-ups which are appearing in the real IELTS speaking test for these months, and they are appearing in the month of January and they'll continue to appear till at least end of April 2023. So the first cue card is describe a historical period you would like to know more about. You can pay attention to your screen in order to get these cue cards and the follow-up questions. I will say this cue card again. Describe a historical period you would like to know more about. The first follow-up. Should everyone know history? In what ways can children learn about history? And is it hard to protect historical buildings? Let's look at another cue card. Describe an unforgettable meal that you had. And the follow-ups are all about food. The first follow-up. What are the advantages and disadvantages of eating in restaurants? What fast food is there in your country? Why do people choose to eat out instead of ordering the takeout? The fourth question. Do people in your country socialize in restaurants and why? Let's move on to the next cue card. Describe the home of someone you know well and whom you often visit. I will say this cue card again and you can pay attention to your screen. Describe the home of someone you know well and whom you often visit. The first follow-up. What are the differences between houses or buildings in the city and the countryside? Do you prefer to live in the city or countryside? What are the safety risks in residential buildings in the cities? And the last one. Is it expensive to decorate a house or an apartment where you live? Moving on, the next cue card. Describe an outdoor activity you did in a new place recently. This cue card is appearing very frequently, so you need to pay attention to these follow-ups because every time one of our students go to real IELTS test, they get exactly the same follow-up questions. So the cue card, describe an outdoor activity you did in a new place recently. The first follow-up. What are outdoor activities popular in your country? Are those people who like dangerous activities more likely to be successful? Do you think people should change jobs when there are new chances? Should young people try as many new activities as possible? And the last question for this cue card. What are the differences between after-class activities done by young and older children? Moving on to the next cue card. This has recently been added to the list. Describe a noisy place you have been to. And the follow-ups. Do you think it is good for children to make noise? Should children not to be allowed to make noise under any circumstances? Which do you think makes louder noise, cities or the countryside? And what types of noise do come across the daily life? And the last question, how do people respond to noises in your country? Let's move on. And this cue card is describe a daily routine that you enjoy. The first question, what are the advantages of children having a routine at school? How do people routines differ on weekends and weekdays? What are the differences between people's daily routines now and in the last 15 years or in the past? Last question, should children have learning routines? Moving on to the next cue card. Describe a city you would recommend as a nice place to live and not your hometown. I will say this cue card again. Please pay attention to your screen. Describe a city you would recommend as a nice place to live, not your hometown. The first question. Is it easy to find quiet places in your country? Why do older adults prefer to live in quiet places? Why are there more noises made at home now than in the past? And the last question, why do some people like to use noise as background sound when they are working or studying? Let's move on to the next and the last cue card for today. Describe a person who inspired you to do something interesting. And the follow-ups: what qualities make a role model? Do people need to be encouraged when facing difficulties? What kind of things can inspire people? And the last question: what kinds of jobs need inspiration? So these are the follow-ups which are appearing in the exam along with the cue cards. If you happen to get one of these, it is most certain that you would get the follow-up questions which have just been shown to you. My name is Vikas. I represent Insignia Overseas, one of the leading IELTS and PTE institutes in Kurukshetra, Haryana, and we make sure that we make IELTS simple for you. Thank you so much for watching.